healthy, our body will be healthy. If a doctor's not focusing on, okay, how are the individual cells operating, I think that's a key piece that is missing. Yeah, people will go in front of the red light while naked too.
Why?
Everyone is in control and you can't escape personal responsibility. You can deny it, but you can't escape it. Calm down that storm. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of the vagus nerve.
Isn't that the one you karate chop and people fall asleep?
I don't know about that. Maybe.
That too. I don't know if you got, what's that?
This is just coffee.
Coffee. Fuck, I can't do coffee, dude.
Really?
I say
Why?
that when I'm about to like chow into like 5-hour energy.
Why can't you do coffee?
It gives me anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize how much caffeine's in so much shit here. Mm-hmm. Like Celsius, I was like, this is not bad.
Oh,
and I got used to having 200 milligrams in a thing. And then I went back to Red Bull recently because I was like, all right, I'm going to like, I can't believe I'm saying that Red Bull was a step back from how much caffeine.
From Celsius?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like a normal, I don't know what you guys call it. It's like 8 ounces. It's like 250 mils back home. That's only 80 milligrams.
Of caffeine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
what
like,
are you talking about? Here? Coffee?
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Like, so
just looked
Red Bull is only, fucking 80 milligrams.
Oh, really? Less than coffee? Well, because I looked up yesterday, 8 ounce was like, they said like 95 milligrams or something of caffeine for coffee. And anyways, but my friend was drinking an energy drink and it was like 300 milligrams of caffeine in one. Yeah.
Bang energy drink?
I don't remember the brand, but
Dude,
I was just like,
thing.
that's crazy.
And people have 2 of them a day. I'm like, shit, man.
Well, that's how you that's how, talk about anxiety or high blood pressure or whatever. But yeah, I can't do that. It's crazy.
I noticed like I have to do, it's like a gradual cold turkey in a way. So like if I get in a habit, I have to go like a week or 2 without anything just to like reset myself because you just notice you get white as shit.
Yeah, cool.
It's so bad.
I'm actually trying to wean myself off coffee, but just because of the caffeine. But yes, I mean, as you can see, it's not going that
That's
well.
a big fucking thing, dude. Like you literally have
it's probably up to here.
Like you have a tiger
It's insulated, you can't tell.
You have a tiger that looks like he's high on acid right now on the mug.
So I saw this mug actually when I was in California recently, and it's a tiger surfing, and those are 2 of my favorite things. So I love tigers and surfing. So I had to buy it. I was like, all right, this was made for me.
That's amazing. He literally looks like he's had 17 coffees in the morning. He's like, fuck it, I'm taking this on.
Yeah. I mean, look at his hands. They're all like outstretched. he's like zombie tiger or something.
Yeah, he's a gay zombie. So thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, of course.
It's
My
funny.
pleasure.
I came across you on one of your ads. I think that's how I find most people now.
Okay. Yeah.
It's, and I was just like, cool, he's interesting. Let's have a chat. So people who are not familiar with Jarod, do you prefer Dr. Jarod? Whenever I see it in a description, I'm like,
you can call me Jarod. I go by Dr. Jarod to all my patients, but in my life, I go by Jarod. So.
I'll call you Doc. What up, Doc?
All right.
Let them know what you do, and I mean, we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, so I'm a holistic chiropractor, and what I mean by that is I don't just adjust spines. I do a lot of blood work, even like nutrition, muscle testing, which we can talk about more what that is later. Hormone tests, urine tests. I do a lot of cellular detoxification work with patients. So anything chronic, people probably need a little bit of cellular support. So I really focus on the cell as a whole, like the cell if our cells are healthy, our body will be healthy. And so if a doctor's not focusing on, okay, how are the individual cells operating, I think that's a key piece that is missing. So I focus on that a lot in my practice. I love what I do. I really focus on chronic, kind of complex, either neuromusculoskeletal, autoimmune, hormone type cases, and any ages, kids to grandparents. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, I love it.
And so, I mean, obviously, the younger they are, the easier it is to fix stuff.
Completely true.
Yeah, because what's the biggest thing you're noticing? What's the biggest problem that plagues at least people in this area? I know usually this area is indicative of the world, but what's like the most common problems people come in that they need addressing with?
I guess I would say just like a dysregulated immune system. That's what I would say mostly, because dysregulation of the immune system, without getting like too heady, is just either the immune system is overreacting or underreacting because of a lot of different things going on. Basically, we live in a really toxic world, And especially even here in in Southwest Florida, I've noticed people's allergies. People usually, if they move here, they notice their allergies get a lot worse. I would contribute that to more mold content in the air.
Really?
Yeah, just because, and it's not because mold causes allergies. It's just because it's another kind of straw that breaks the camel's back. And so then the liver and everything being, the immune system overreacts to the overburden of mold and basically creates an allergic response. An allergic response is the immune system. So anyways, dysregulated immune response, I would say, is autoimmune disease, crazy inflammation in the body, which, joint pain, headaches, whatever. I think that it all is related to a dysregulated immune system. So that's what I really focus on when I'm always thinking about, I'm a chiropractor, right? You're like, oh, you just do back pain. Well, yeah, kind of. But I focus a lot on, a lot of back pain is nervous system and immune system dysfunction. So that's what I'm focusing on primarily.
Got you. So when someone's got that dysregulated immune system, if it is from mold, what do you typically suggest they do?
So mold's just a quick example. When someone has a dysregulated immune system, a couple things that we need to do. The first is we need to calm down the nervous system. Mm-hmm. So when the immune system is dysregulated, the body's freaking out. The brain's like, oh my gosh, I'm under attack. It's, fight or flight response, basically. One of the best ways, at least in my office, that I recommend to relax the fight or flight response is chiropractic adjustments to the upper neck or to the pelvis. Those divisions of the spine are basically, when you adjust them, they stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest portion of the nervous system. When you stimulate that, it calms down the sympathetics, which is fight or flight. So anyways, so that's something I could do to help regulate the nervous system when they come in with the immune response. But then a lot of times I'll look at blood work, testings, things like that, and pick out specific supplements and herbs to help calm down the immune storm that's happening. We've all been through COVID, more or less. We've probably heard the word cytokine storm. And what
I have. What's that?
Haven't? Okay, so a lot of times in the literature and in the news during the whole pandemic issue, they talked a lot about cytokine storm. And basically, it's when the COVID infection in the lungs got so bad that they developed a cytokine storm. Cytokine just means cell chemical storm. Cyto, cell, kine, chemical, or signal. So basically, the cells are freaking out because there's immune system dysregulation. They're sending signals everywhere, and it creates this massive inflammatory storm, which is actually the real cause of a lot of the COVID fatalities, in my opinion. Not actually. The virus is a problem, but it was the immune system dysregulation and overreaction to the virus that caused the cases of a lot of inflammation that led to a lot of the fatalities. And a lot of that cytokine storm or the immune system dysregulation, a lot of people are already walking around with unhealthy cells that aren't communicating well. And so so that's an example of one of the problems where if we would have had the opportunity to help these people fix the way their cells were functioning, it could have basically prevented, I think, a lot of the cases that we saw. So yeah. I'm kind of going on a tangent a little bit, but so I would recommend chiropractic to help calm down that storm. I don't know if you've heard of the vagus nerve, but it comes up. Yeah, and it's really responsible for controlling the basically autonomic, or I say automatic, function of all the organs in the body. And so by adjusting the upper neck, chiropractic wise, you calm down basically the vagus nerve, which calms down the organs. So it can really restore a lot of function to the body. So that's a great thing. And then herbs, supplements, I kind of come up with an individualized protocol for each person. So it's hard to say exactly. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. It makes sense because, that was, I think, the frustrating thing for me being a personal trainer before I moved here, seeing all the pressure, I guess, on people who didn't give a shit about their health. Pressure on people who did care about their health. All of a sudden, it's it was your responsibility to care about everyone else who didn't care about their health.
Right. I guess it might be nice if it worked that way, but it just doesn't.
Well, that was the thing that kind of frustrated me about the whole thing, and we'll come back to, this is a small tangent. That was the thing that frustrated me about the entire thing. It was, all right, everyone who's been careful and you've gone quotation marks without, I choose not to have shit food constantly. I choose to go to the gym and sacrifice time to, keep healthy, keep my immune system going. When the times are good, it's the people who choose not to do that shit, they're wee. And then as soon as times are bad, the people who have prepared in a way, prepared without realizing, now it's your responsibility and you're selfish because you are like, well, no, I'm fine.
Right.
But when it's not the other way, it's like people not giving a shit about their health and being negligent. That's not being selfish. That's living life and being comfortable. Right. And that was the thing that just frustrated me overall.
Yeah, it was super frustrating. And that's just like, whether you want to be passive or active. And unfortunately our culture, and we kind of reward and expect passivity, and we expect success even from being passive. And it just doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't care about our cultural or human expectations. It will do what it has always done. So,
Well, we just have this thing where it's like we're glorifying and making excuses for being lazy now.
Yep.
And it's just, if you work your ass off, you're privileged. I had a video last week go viral, and for me talking about it's cheaper long term to be healthy than it is to be unhealthy.
Yep.
All the comments were about how privileged I am and how it's like ignorant I am and all these things. And it's like every time I had an answer back or like a solution to their problem they pitched, it was always just another excuse. And that's what we're noticing now is it's just when times are good, it's you don't tell me what to do.
Right.
Like, hey, how about you eat healthy? You. Okay. And then the second that times are bad, hey, I chose to live healthy, so I'm going to keep doing what I do. You.
Right. You're
screwed
You're not
away.
accommodating me either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a wild, But so the vagus nerve, all I know about that is like, isn't that the one you karate chop and people fall asleep?
I don't know about that, maybe.
Hello. I hope you're getting a lot of value and enjoying this conversation so far. As you know, this is a very young podcast, and right now the best way for people to find out about it is through word of mouth. So if you have like a spare 20 seconds, it would mean the world if you could just leave a 5-star review and some feedback, what you love, what you would like to see more of, so that we can constantly improve this for you. So if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, leave a review there. Now, if you're on YouTube and watching this, if you could just comment what you love, what you didn't like even, that's going to help as well. But also more stuff you'd love to see or people, that'd mean the world to us as well. Also, if you haven't subscribed, make sure please hit the subscribe button, hit that bell as well so that you can find out when the next episode comes out. And we can just constantly be getting it better and better for you guys. And please tell anyone who you think would be interested in this so that we can grow and get the word out and just share some more interesting stories about some interesting people. Anyways, enjoy the show.
You're going to have to tell me about that one.
I've just seen like Navy SEAL videos. I was like...
Where they like chop on the neck or whatever?
Yeah, like it's like a kill switch because that's the one that goes to your brain, correct?
Well, I mean, there's 12 cranial nerves, and the vagus nerve is just one of them. They all go to the brain. Is it
the main one?
They all go to the brain.
Okay.
So that's hard for me to answer. I don't know.
It sounds
that'd be
familiar.
awesome. That'd be sick.
Google it. It's because there's this guy called Tim Larkin, and he's got an amazing book called When Violence Is the Answer. It's like it's proper self-defense. It's not like 1, 2. Right. Like, you're not gonna do that shit. You're 45 kilos, whatever that is in pounds, trying to take on a 120 kilogram guy. You're not gonna win with this shit.
Right.
But that was, I think it's the varicose nerve or vein or whatever it is. And he shows this video of this, Navy SEAL or something, and they're just goofing around.
Yeah.
And he shows me, he goes, yeah, check this out. The guy just turns off, just straight down.
Crazy.
And this is like a big, like 230 pound dude, just off.
Well, I mean, I believe it. The vagus nerve is powerful, so it makes sense to me. But that's crazy. I'm going to have to look it up.
You go to your friends, hey, check this out.
I guess that's why we focus so much on safely adjusting in school, so we don't make anybody pass out like that.
Off switch.
That'll be bad.
It'd be a good sleep, though. You watch them, they're out.
True.
It's your deep REM straight away.
Straight to deep sleep.
Yeah. Like, don't have a sleeping pill, just bah.
You're right.
So the biggest issue obviously is chronic illness now. It's not even acute.
Yep.
And what is like your suggestion to people? Because obviously I know with personal training experience, physios, it's always go home and do this homework in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they come back to you and they're like, yes, I did none of that. What's the difference do you notice with people who do actually go home and just do the little things that you say versus the ones that don't?
Oh, they recover, I'd say, about twice as fast. Yeah. So it's great. I mean, I can be your I can be your ibuprofen, and you can come in and see me, twice a week, once a month, whatever. But we're actually gonna restore you and get a lot better if you apply a little bit of it to your own life,
Yeah.
Because I keep just trying to rescue people from their life they keep jumping back into. They have to make the decision to change their life, and so that's what I really hope to inspire people, because that's the way, that's how you have to do it. But yeah, that's what I would say to that. So,
and it's usually not a lot that they have to do.
No, super easy usually. Well, from my perspective, it's easy.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work myself just with my health and everything. And so I guess to me, I'm like, okay, can you take this one supplement, or can you come in once a week? And sometimes that's really hard for people. They're like, oh, I forget to take my supplement. And I'm like, all right. I had one patient, I think it took about 3 months before she finally began to take her supplement. And you just got to work with people where they're at. It's like, okay, my job is service, and I want to serve people and love people and give to people. But yeah, because in my brain, I've seen what they have before. I see how fast they could progress.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to go at the pace of their own willingness. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the more frustrating parts. Frustrating and just okay, blatantly human parts of the job, I guess. And just having to learn how to coach them and convince them and almost persuade them to do what's good for them. You know?
And it's usually not a lot. Again, remembering if you keep forgetting to have the supplement, what do you never forget? All right. Brush my teeth.
Right.
Take a coffee.
Right. Take it with your coffee.
Put it and put the bottle next to it.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, fuck, that's right.
Yeah. Well, then I had a patient, she came to me, she goes to actually Stanford for all her medical care. And they wanted to put her on a statin drug for the rest of her life at 39 because her cholesterol was a little out of range. And statin drugs are a whole other thing that I haven't really researched into.
Is that the statin inhibitor stuff where there's dogs that are jacked?
For what, sorry?
I'm thinking myostatin inhibitors.
So I don't know a lot about pharmaceuticals because I never studied them. I took a toxicology course, but my focus, so basically chiropractic school, we focus more on, I guess I would say, nutrition and adjustments, whereas the medical doctors would focus more on surgery and pharmaceuticals. Yeah. So I don't know, I'm still learning. Statins is something that I have yet to research, but basically, you don't want to be on a statin long term. They have been suspicious of them even causing more cardiovascular events than they're worth, basically. But statin drug is given a lot of times for cholesterol or those who are at risk for a cardiovascular event. And anyways, she's 39. She doesn't want to go on a drug every day for the rest of her life, right? And so she knew me. She came to me. She did everything I said, and she's going to Stanford, right? Stanford's one of the best medical centers in the United States, right? Yeah. And she came to me. She does everything I say for a month. All of her blood markers improved within a month. And then, I laid out a whole 6-month plan. And so it's she did everything I said, down to the T. And I was like, wow, she's asking me a lot of questions. And so it's just cool. It's you really, no matter who you work with, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, whether it's your medical doctor, you really are in control of your outcome of your health. And that's what I think people, again, kind of back to what we were saying about the whole pandemic thing. It's everyone is in control and you can't escape personal responsibility. You can deny it, but you can't escape it. And so it's just, I see the contrast every day in my patients, and yeah, it is what it is. So,
and it's again, whatever you're focusing on. One of the comments on that one where it was fuck you, you privileged white boy.
Right.
It didn't help that I was wearing a hoodie that had spray paint all over it. So it's whatever. But one of the comments was about how expensive avocado toast is. And I'm like, all right, cool. But he's talking about his bills and everything.
What do they think? I'm eating avocado toast every day?
I don't know. That's how you say for a house. You cut that out.
Right. That's what I've been told.
But so one of their excuses was how expensive it is. And I can't, I've got 3 kids. I've got this, and this. I'm like, all right, well, how about for you? Don't eat until midday or whatever. I didn't want to say intermittent fasting because it's anything that has a buzz name now is just ugh, this guy. He's in a cult.
Yeah.
But if you don't eat the first half of the day, majority of people, and this is not medical advice, obviously, people listening, but the majority of people actually not only can survive, but they can thrive potentially.
Yeah.
I was one of those people that I was like, no, I have to have breakfast. I have to. When I first moved here, I kept forgetting to eat because I just had so much shit to do. And I wasn't eating until midday or whatever. And what I realized is because my body wasn't in digestion mode, I was actually way more alert.
Yep.
Just I'm talking laser focus compared to before. And I realized because my body wasn't going into digestion mode. And so I wasn't eating until midday. And it was purely by accident. But I'm like, oh, if you're not eating half the day, you're saving money half the day.
Mm-hmm.
Then reallocate that money you're going to spend, that you're going to divide across, the whole day, into an acute amount in the second half of the day where you're saving money.
Yep.
And now you're spending the same money, but you're buying high quality food.
Yep.
And you feel better. And I mean, it makes it a lot easier. But once I found that solution, the next comment was from a different person going, so you're telling people they should starve themselves. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, that's extreme.
I'm like, if I go to your pantry, I can guarantee you're not starving yourself.
Yeah. No, but actually that's one of the main recommendations I suggest to people when they're having a chronic issue, whether it's like, the high cholesterol patient or people with chronic pain.
Yeah.
Again, it's like you need so much of intermittent fasting is like beneficial because you get to something called autophagy, which maybe you've heard of.
I'm not familiar with autophagy.
So basically in ketosis, have you heard of ketosis? Mm-hmm. Okay. So autophagy is basically means auto, and then phagy means eat. So you're basically eating yourself. And so the first thing that the body will eat is ineffective or inefficient tissues and cells. Mm-hmm. And so literally the body will go and scavenge and clean up the tissues that aren't functioning well. They will clean up the diseased tissue, the body will itself, just through fasting. So that's an awesome way to help reduce inflammation. If you're clearing out, the guys who aren't doing their job, all of a sudden the average efficiency of the entire system goes up, right? And so that's a really good benefit of intermittent fasting. And I recommend it for intermittent fasting should be worked up to, I think, for anybody who has any type of insulin resistance, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, immune challenge, things like that. So I love it. There's even so I used to work with Dr. Mindy Pelz, which shout out to her. She's awesome. She became really famous on YouTube and she went on, The Doctors, things like that. I was actually running her clinic for her, and she was really focused on fasting for women. So I learned a lot about, there's so many different types of fasting. There's autophagy fasting, intermittent fasting. She does 36-hour water fast, whatever.
Yeah.
So once you start fasting, there's a whole learning curve. You can get into a lot of different things, and the benefits of it are really cool, really amazing. So
it's wild too about how much food sometimes you don't need as much as you thought.
Right. No.
My move here was like that thing where I accidentally found out, because I was always like, no, I did like everything backwards compared to what I do now.
Yeah.
Where it was like carbs at the start of the day because I'll burn it off through the day, and then meat and veggies just at night because you don't want to sleep on carbs. I literally flipped that. I don't eat till midday, like I said. Sometimes till 3 or 4 p.m. now.
Yeah.
Because it's like that topple down effect. But again, I don't feel tired.
Right.
I feel wired.
You feel crisp.
Yeah.
Really clear. Yeah.
Very. And but then because I don't eat during then, I have a little bit more wiggle room, and I actually kind of semi-carb load, and it's still good carbs at night. Because again, once I figured out, I was like, I was tired in the morning because I was eating carbs. So I smash myself with carbs at night, and it puts me in a deeper sleep. Yep. And then I wake up and I'm like, all right, good to go. Yeah. Cool. So the complete flip. Yeah. And it's like, that's why I hear when people are like, oh, you're suggesting starving yourself. I'm like, dude, no. I train 2 hours in that time and work and do all that stuff, and I'm so alive, and I used to be the complete opposite. So I get where you guys are coming from. It's usually not from healthy people though. That's the problem. Right. Yeah,
I'm not starving myself. I'm learning how my body actually works.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. If I was tired, exhausted, and fasting, there's been no chance in Hades ever doing it. It's always like, how does my body feel? Right. And, and I think people need to look at their body like a science experiment more than anything else, but most don't want to. Yeah. Or they look at the short-term effects where it's like, again, they've been drinking a fuckload of coffee, and then they go, well, I'm going to go without coffee, and they get headaches, and they go, oh, it's because it's not good to not have coffee. Ugh. It's like, no, you got a shitload of detoxing going on. Right.
The body's a feedback system. It's going to tell you what's up. And it's just all about learning how to interpret it. Yeah.
And if you're starting from a shit spot, it's going to be making you feel like shit while it's cleaning itself out.
Because you've been numbing your body with who knows what for how long, and now finally you're letting it talk, and so of course it's going to have some negative things to say. Yeah. So that's just what happens. So,
I couldn't imagine I've been very fortunate, privileged, being brought up like mum and dad, mostly mum. Dad was like the money maker. Mum was like the habit pusher. Yeah. It was like swimming, exercise. You do this, you do that. And then once I got old enough to care about girls, that's when I cared about my body.
Yeah,
like every teenage boy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine what, like, are you the same? Like when you injure yourself and you can't touch your toes or something, and you're like, people live like this every day.
Right.
You know, like that little bit of thing
Yeah.
you get used to, and you're like, fuck, how do people do this?
Right.
Ugh. Anyways, so red light therapy, I've seen one of the ads on that.
Yep.
Huge skeptic, straight up, huge skeptic. I know that, like, obviously light, every waveform has different effects. Like sound can affect your mood and all that sort of stuff. So I get the properties of that. With red light therapy, first of all, what does it claim to be doing? Is it proven? Is it still like in research mode? And how long does it typically take to see an effect?
Yeah. So claims to do. The only thing I claim that red light therapy does is it reduces cellular inflammation and stimulates cellular function. Whether we like it or not, we run off of light, and like the sun charges us, and I don't know if you've done a lot of reading about that, but basically red light therapy to me is a substitute for those who are not getting proper sunlight. So you don't have to pay for red light therapy. You could go get in the sun and have safe sun exposure and get a lot of the same benefits, because the sun does emit infrared rays. So just to put that out there. But red light therapy can be relaxing, more convenient. You can do it at your busy schedule convenience. So what I would say, so red light therapy, usually in the machines that they use, first of all, it depends on the quality of the machine, right? And then there's two spectrums of light. There's the visual red light, because it looks good. And then also the red light does have a calming effect on the brain. I don't know if you've ever heard of like blue light blocking glasses. Yep. Blue light is stimulatory, red light is calming. So is
it a longer or shorter wave?
I don't know. In terms of visual?
Yeah, like on the wavelength.
I don't know the wavelength of the visual.
Out.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know a lot about the different wavelengths. So the infrared wavelength, I know penetrates about 1.5 inches into the skin. So that's the one that's not visual. And then that's the one that has the most cellular effects. So basically the infrared light, the infrared therapy, light beams, the rays, they go into the cells and they stimulate the mitochondrial function. So that's what they've been showing in the research. And when the cells because mitochondria, if you think about it, plants have oh my gosh, the chlorophyll centers. I forget the chloroplasts or something like that. What they're called.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, and we have mitochondria. So they both run off of light. That's the theory. And they're kind of still proving that in the research. Just as plants need sunlight to facilitate the chlorophyll generation, make energy, whatever, we need our mitochondria and then mitochondria similarly respond to light in the same way that the things in plants do. So that's the premise. They're still proving it, but the mitochondria then, when the mitochondria are working better, the cell has more energy. Mitochondria are also really involved in cellular detoxification. So if the cell is getting cleaner and also has more energy, it's going to be more functionable. The tissue as a whole then will heal. So they did a study, actually, I read about a while ago, where they actually were treating baldness. So like male pattern baldness with red light therapy. And they had great results, because when you're stimulating the mitochondria in any tissue, like the scalp, you're going to have increased healthy vasculature, healthy blood flow, healthy hair production, right? So
what about back hair?
I don't know. I think it would be. That's a great question. I don't know of anyone no one's coming to me wanting more back hair. So
what are you trying to avoid? You're like, hey, can you just do my neck up, please?
Yeah. Right. I don't think it necessarily inspires like hair growth. It just heals dysfunctional like scalp tissue where you already had hair. But yeah,
do a test.
If someone's going bald on their back and they really want to get it back, we can try it.
No, I'm saying like if you wanted to avoid it, you're like, fuck, I've gone in for this red light therapy for 3 months and now I look like a gorilla.
Yeah. No worries. No, it doesn't do that. Luckily, I wouldn't have any ladies doing it if that was the case. No, it just restores the original tissue. So if you never had back hair, you're not going to grow back hair. Yeah. But if you had scalp hair, it'll help regrow your scalp. So that was a really cool study. They used more of like a helmet style. Yeah. So you put the helmet on, but that was really cool. And then also, so one of professors when I was in chiropractic school, we talked a lot about red light therapy actually for healing concussions. Laser as well, but red light therapy is a good adjunct to laser, as well as, whatever else your doctor recommends. This isn't medical advice, but even, and a lot of times concussions come from the neck too, so I always recommend getting adjusted post-concussion. But anyways, the red light therapy, again, facilitates blood flow, helps heal the lining of the blood vessels, and helps heal the brain and the neurons by, again, stimulating mitochondria, helping cellular function. So there needs to be a lot more studies, a lot more research. And honestly, I read some research, but my research that I read is I'm really more focused on I would say like nutrition and chiropractic. Red light therapy is a great adjunct, but that's something I haven't dove a lot into. I see the results and then I'm like, cool. Okay, so you asked about how often would it take for results. It depends on how strong the machine is that you're using. We have a pretty strong one. I usually see pretty good results, and it really depends again on the person, right? Because we're trying to stimulate cellular function. If they're eating shit food every day, or whatever, we're fighting an uphill battle that red light therapy probably won't be able to overcome because it's subtle. It is a more subtle treatment. It's not like I'm throwing you in my cryotherapy chamber. That's a lot stronger.
I really want to try that, by the way.
You're more than welcome to come try it. Man. It's awesome. Have you ever done it before?
No.
Okay.
I've heard such good things, and it's interesting because it increases your telomeres and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll come back to that before I cut you off on that.
So red light, what was I saying?
Duration and time to do.
Oh yeah. I had one lady come in. She was down here on vacation from up north, and I guess red light therapy is how she always fixes her knee. And she hurt her knee. I think she was on an airboat tour, and she hurt her knee. Right? She hurt her knee. She came in with a cane.
Looking like a pimp, huh?
What?
Looking like a pimp.
Something. She came in and sat in front of the red light therapy wall for 20 minutes, and then walked out without her cane. And I was like, wow, cool. Shit. Yeah, it was awesome. So that was one of the more dramatic instances where it took literally one session. And she was like, I'm feeling good. Thanks so much. Bye. I'm like, okay.
I wonder if that was it placebo a little bit then?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
Not to disrespect.
No, you're fine.
I mean, brain is powerful.
That's what you always have to question, right?
Yeah.
It could be, in her case, it could be a bit of placebo.
Which isn't a bad thing. Everyone shits on placebo, but it's like, who gives a shit?
Right.
If it gets the result you want.
Well, one of my mentors, what he would always say that I kind of like is the only thing that's weird is the thing that doesn't get results. And I was like, all right, that's one way of looking at it for sure. But anyways, so that was one of the more dramatic instances. But usually I think it takes about 6 sessions before people feel the difference.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. If it's pain, if they're trying to use it to lose weight, honestly, red light therapy is not my first choice for weight loss.
Yeah.
It can help because, again, it's stimulating detoxification, things like that. But your lifestyle has to be so on point for that to be the next step for you for weight loss or toning things up.
It definitely feels like people are trying to find everything except for exercise and eating healthy.
Yeah, well, yep, because it requires a lot of self-discipline.
Well, even the head of science
again, it's
did that.
passive versus active.
Did you see someone in the science department or whatever it was in the government the other day? Bill Maher spoke about it, and it was, this guy's quote was, "There's an obesity epidemic and we just don't know how to fight it." Really?
Yeah.
We just don't have a solution for this obesity epidemic. All right, I don't know, maybe stop fast food, regulate that shit. Which is hilarious, by the way, that everyone's like, we want freedom, but can you regulate this stuff that's really bad?
Yeah. People will be left to their own devices one way or another. But I don't know, again, kind of coming back to this stuff, did you see the study that came out, was it yesterday or the day before? Where basically, I run in circles of holistic doctors, okay? And so we're always sharing links with each other, whatever, and we were all real pissed off during the whole pandemic thing. Because this is just...
Let's not talk about health.
No. All of us, and most of us, since March 2020, we're like, this is bullshit, this is crazy, whatever. Anyways, one of the doctors, her name is Dr. Tina, she's really cool. She's in Oregon. She had been saying through the whole time that, hey, actually risk of COVID is due to obesity. That's one of the main things, right? Then finally, a year later, they were like, oh yeah, that's kind of part of it. Well, the study just came out. I think
it wasn't until the vaccine started not proving their claims that they had to do that.
Yeah, whatever. We saw that coming. Anyways, there was a study earlier this week, or last week maybe, that came out where basically it said if you were, it was a direct scale. If you were obese, you were 10 times more likely to get someone else infected than someone who was not.
Really?
Yep.
Why is that?
Because when your body, again, it's all about the immune system dysregulation, the cellular gunk. If your cells aren't functioning right, the viruses will replicate more. You will have a higher viral load because your cells can't handle it. They can't handle a simple immune stressor. Not saying that COVID is simple. I'm just saying they can't handle a virus.
Yeah.
And so when they can't handle a virus, the virus will replicate more. You will have more of a contagious atmosphere about you, and you are more likely to infect loved ones if you're obese. And that's what the study said. You can be pissed at me, whatever, but that's what the data is saying, and that's what a lot of natural doctors who were getting gaslighted and banned off social media have been saying for 2 years. And it's really sad because, or however many years it's been now, but it's sad because so many of these people could have lost 100 pounds in 2 years.
And some people did, and
a lot of people did, and good for them. And good for them. No, good for them. They will not be gaslighted. Good for them. But it's just so it's just interesting. The truth always comes out. The truth always wins, and to an extent, whether it takes 50 years or not, I don't know. But yeah, it was really wild. And I was like, yeah. So anyways, if you're obese, I can't remember the exact metric. We'll have to look it up. But
that's
it was wild.
Basic knowledge across all things.
What'd you say?
Well, it's if you're unhealthy, you're vulnerable to shit.
Vulnerable, but this showed that you're actually more vulnerable to spreading it. Yeah, which is crazy.
Which makes sense when you break it down of if your viral load is too, if you can't
and no
fight
shame,
it as fast,
but that's just the reality. No shame on these people, but
always everything, even outside of a virus, everything's ebb and flow. Right now, the environment can't control humans, so we're growing out of control. There's always a tit and tat scenario with everything. Right. They've seen it with some rainforests. They got rid of the wolves, and then the deer became a problem. And the deer.
Then they reintroduced the wolves, and then everything.
It happens to everything. So on a basic level across everything, because it is weird how much of the universe, at least it's than the Earth, everything is the same. If you look at it on how things interact, something's got to win, something's got to lose. That it makes sense that if the human body, the incubation system for the viral load isn't winning, it's going to be able, the virus can produce more, and it can do what it wants to do, which is spread. Whereas if it, I kicked COVID in for a couple of hours.
Nice, good job.
I got it. I had monoclonal antibodies though. I had to cheat code.
Oh, okay.
Man, those were good. But it was literally, I had fever one night, fine during the middle of the day, monoclonals, and then intense fever for 4 hours that evening. Zero after that. I was still positive, but it was, I could have gone to the gym.
I never got it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how. I was in China in February 2020 and I never got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't go to the wet market?
No, not that one. I went to a different one. No, it's crazy. So yeah, good for you, dude. But yeah, it's true. It all comes back down to nature will have its competing systems, and where do you want to be? Again, personal responsibility again, and it kind of sucks. It's I wish I wouldn't have to work out. Maybe, but it's just it all comes down to where do you want to be in the battlefield of nature. Yeah, and that's what it is. So, and
it's also just it's people so quickly will find the excuse versus how can I just do 20%? I had a client where I was just okay, your flexibility is shit, and you got to work on it. For the next week, I want you to do 90 seconds twice a day. Do this, this, and this. Oh, I got to go to work. Okay. So just, you go, and there's no, well, if I do that, my shirt comes out. I'm fucking tuck it back in.
Right.
And then it was,
take an extra 5
all right, well
seconds.
then don't do it at work. Do it at home. I have kids. I can't. I'm do you take a shit ever? And he's like, oh, what do you mean? I go to the bathroom, stay there for 90 seconds. The kids will live.
Right.
And he's like, well, not the amount of excuses he kept finding for 90 seconds twice a day.
Yeah.
I'm dude, I know for sure you watch TV. Stand the fuck up and stretch while watching it. He just, and he didn't do it. And then all of a sudden it was he spoke to another trainer going, Blake's a bit rude. I'm dude, can you not see how fucking aggravating this is that you keep paying me? I'm taking your money. At this point, I'm taking your money.
Because you're not doing anything.
Because you're not doing anything.
Right.
And it's I'm not someone, I can't be here and be I'll happily just take your money because I know I'm trying. Right. I can't do that.
Right.
And yeah, it was just this thing where I was so aggravated by it, by seeing the mental gymnastics of why 90 seconds was not possible. But if his boss is hey, can you quickly do this thing that's going to take 5 hours? No worries.
Right.
But he won't take the responsibility to make himself feel better. And you see that across so many people now. around the world.
Well, and I think so much of it is mindset. It's like, it makes me wonder, like with people like that, it's like, okay, what, because I know even with me, it's like I didn't start working out consistently until not too long ago. And it's so much of it around, for me, was around like just resisting, I guess, engaging with my own body, which like sounds kind of, but it really was. And it was just like, okay, I had some like shame around my body. I had shame, like me seeing my body not being able to do things made me feel shame. And it makes me wonder, like with people like that, or like my patients, it's like, okay, what is the mental block? Because, and that's kind of like my job too, to help people figure out what's the mental block so that we keep them moving forward. And you know, it can be your job, but you can also make them figure that out themselves. It doesn't have to be your job. But part of me is just kind of like, whenever I hear a story like that, I'm like, okay, what's the mental block? Yeah, that's just always my question, because it just doesn't make sense, right? It's not logical, it's emotional. They have an emotional block, and I don't know, you gotta clear it. But
yeah, and sometimes it is just that thing where you've got to they have to figure it out. But I'm yet to find a client, when I was, I'm not going to find one now because I don't do personal training more, but they would always be like, how did I live like this before?
Right.
You know, like what was normal? And it's honestly, it's usually the simple shit. It's not even the physical, as in like the aesthetics.
Yeah.
The stuff that I used to always get comments on was just like, dude, I just picked that thing off the floor and it was fucking easy.
Right.
Like stuff that we take for granted that we don't realize, like having to pick something up and go, drop a knee, and be like, I watch people do that. I'm like, that just took you 7 seconds.
Oh, right.
That should have taken 0.7 seconds.
Yeah.
And like you compound that across every other activity. I'm like, you're losing hours a day on dumb little things that should be insignificant.
Right.
And that was one guy, he was painting, he had a fucked up back and like terrified of doing deadlifting. I'm like, we slowly got him there, but I'm like, you're not doing heavy. I want you to practice the mechanics of keeping your spine straight. Also doing Romanian deadlifts. He's stretching his hammies as well. Like you're doing all these things that are increasing your movement. 6 months in, he comes in like full pumped. He's like, so I was painting the other day. I'm just going down the wall, decide to go down the bottom, see the bottom here. And then I get up and I'm like, I couldn't do that 6 months ago. Yeah. That simple shit. Everyone comes in for like, I want to look sexy. Right. And it's like, no, you don't. Like you think you do, but the shit you're going to leave with is not the people going like, oh, you look great. It's when you can go like, fuck, I ran at least, 150 yards with my kid. Right. That's
it improved my daily life. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm sure that's what you see with your stuff too. Where we're like, fuck, that was like, I just did shit, which was easy, you know? Yeah. You said something we're going to come back right at the beginning, and I've already forgot. It was such a complex name. It was fancy as shit. It was like 28 syllables.
I don't remember.
Fuck. Run through a list of what you do again. We're going to figure this out.
Muscle testing. Is that what you talked about?
That was one of the things.
Okay. Hormone testing, blood labs, chiropractic.
Hormone testing's interesting.
Yeah.
My wife thinks I'm low on testosterone. She says I have a sexual drive of like 0.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm so motivated on work and shit though. Yeah. It's like, I ain't got time.
Well, I mean, okay.
I'm a shit person, okay? Any woman here is going, boo, boo, shit husband. Yeah, fuck you guys.
And you're right.
Look, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just, I was like that when I was single though.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like I was a fuckboy because I thought I had to be. But Yeah. Yeah, there's more stuff you guys don't need to know about me. but yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. So when it comes to hormones, men's and women's, who do you want to talk about first?
I'm going to be selfish and say men's.
Okay. Yeah. So testosterone is decreasing every year in the general population.
Is that because of plastic stuff?
Who knows? It could be, they don't know what it is. So a good book on this was written by Shauna Swan. She's a PhD from, I think, MIT. And all she does is study connections, basically. And she kind of she discovered that sperm count is decreasing every year. Testosterone is decreasing every year. And also baby boy penis size is decreasing every year. So basically,
I got a girl, so we're good.
Okay. But basically, and people don't know what the cause is. They can't concretely say, oh, yes, it's this. But basically, there is probably something environmental just because it's so widespread across Western nations, that it's happening every single year. Whether that's like, you could say it's plastic exposure, you could say it's EMF, you could say it's xenoestrogen exposure, things like that. But yeah, so in terms of the testing, I see low testosterone all the time. Even mine was really low when I did it it's probably still low compared to what it should be. And a lot of that, whenever I see low testosterone, the main things I think of that are bringing it down are toxins, which that could be EMF, plastics, everything I just said, and then also stress. Yeah. Those are the two things that bring down testosterone the most, because cortisol, the body makes DHEA. DHEA either becomes cortisol, which is the stress response, or testosterone. Can't be both. So, anyways, so that's kind of what I think about testosterone. In terms of fixing it, stress regulation, nervous system regulation, chiropractic, and then I like people to eat a lot of animal products, like more beef, lift heavy, exercise. And usually that does a lot. Some detox
Learn
support.
how to fight as well. That
right.
one helps.
Yeah.
That one seriously brings out your testosterone.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So, and then also some detox work is probably important too. But yeah, it's really interesting. Shauna Swan says in like 50 years, the human race will have a hard time reproducing. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So her book, what is it? I can't remember.
We are on the track of being gender neutral.
Right.
I
mean, we kind of are. It's and just from a biological standpoint, it's like if everyone is infertile, it's like it's going to be weird.
There'll be some groups that are fertile though.
Yeah. In terms of what? What do you mean by some groups?
Well, it's like, it's not, I don't know. There's always civilizations that rise and fall.
Yeah, totally.
There's that theory that, have we only been around for 70,000 years, or is that all we can track back to? Because things like the pyramids,
right?
Everyone can't explain them, but we know for a fact that they had gold at the top of them and stuff like that. But that doesn't travel through time because it erodes, it gets stolen, all that sort of stuff. Like if we went to zero right now, all that's going to be left is etches on rocks, because in 100 years, I think it's something like metal. It only takes 140 years to completely get recycled back in the environment.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So you think if something happened and 90% of the population went, so you've got no power, no electricity, like no all this fancy shit to prove how smart we think we are. Then 200 years from now, those people are back to being cave people from day one for starters, but from 200 years from now, there's no proof that there was ever skyscrapers. There's no proof that there was ever computers. That's gone after a couple of decades. And so then you go 1,000 years from now, or 2,000 years from now, we're just recycled again, and there's no proof at all that we were ever at this point.
Yeah.
So there's that theory that we don't know how long we've been around. I can't remember where I was going with that.
I hadn't thought about it in that way, but
it's weird, right?
Yeah, cool.
Like, we assume we've only been around for this long.
Yeah.
But that's all that we can prove.
Right.
That's right, yeah. So like, they could have been, even in the pyramids, they could have had sophisticated machinery to build the pyramids, but that machinery could have just not been able to sustain what the actual rocks used.
They probably did, yeah.
Yeah. So because of like our imagination, we go, well, they did these things with logs and this and that.
Yeah, whatever.
But even that, we go, how the fuck could they do it? But it's probably because they didn't do it that way.
Yeah.
This is just a theory.
Yeah.
Because again, like a crane, a cranes today, they're not going to last 3,000 years. No. Those things erode and get.
Well, it's kind of arrogant of us to think like, oh, they couldn't have come up with what we have.
Yeah.
Well, no, they could have.
Well, that Yellowstone. Have you seen that Yellowstone volcano?
Which one?
So there's a mass. It's like some super volcano in Yellowstone.
Like underneath the ground in Yellowstone. Yeah.
And if it blows up, basically, we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked.
Right.
We'll
just keep Old Faithful going to let off its steam. So it doesn't happen.
Well, that just shows you how much we are just trusting that everything will be okay.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Fuck. Just take some mushrooms. Who knows? But yeah, no, I can't remember where we got on that tangent. But
I was just talking about decreasing sperm count, basically.
That's right.
And sperm counts, sperm motility, all that stuff. Yeah, it's decreasing just objectively, and so that's kind of crazy. So there's going to be a huge. I don't
That's
think
right.
people are-
Civilizations will survive. Some won't have this problem.
Well, and
That's
I think
right.
most of this research was done in Western nations, so it's
Yeah.
something in industrialized, like developed.
Oh, if you go to
nations.
Indonesia though, their plastics and all their toxins are worse than
Well, and
here.
that's the thing. That's why like
Terrible.
you say some civilizations will survive, and I'm like, well, yeah, but there's plastic debris everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if that's the cause, I don't know.
Well, could just be that there's less than somewhere, and that's enough
Yeah.
for them to be like,
Yeah.
all right, the rest of the world's fucked. 1,000 years later, they're coming back up.
Right.
Their testosterone,
Yeah.
massive boners, they're good. They're good.
We'll have to check in when that happens. Let's see.
Just walk up, measure their penis. You're still good, bro.
Oh,
It's
God.
growing.
Anyways, but I thought that was crazy. But it's actually so to come to the penis size thing, this is just like crazy to me. But she basically discovered that
How do you do that research? You just walk up
okay,
to
you
boys
need to listen.
measuring?
No. You need to listen to. She's done a couple of podcast interviews, and she has a cool book that I can't remember the name of right now. But she basically I can't remember what the field of study would be even called, but
Penisology?
no, it's called it's called the anogenital distance, and basically,
Oh, yeah, the taint.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're measuring that, and basically, that's how they're determining the level of estrogen or testosterone exposure, and you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So she analyzed a lot of that, and basically, and then I don't know if she actually measured the penis or what, but anyways, long story short, the male fetus exposure to something called phthalates,
That's it. Phthalates,
it actually decreases penis size.
Yeah,
So,
and taint size.
yep.
Because for people that don't know what we're talking about, the way you measure the way you measure the difference between a male and a female is the measurement of their taint.
Mm-hmm.
And if a male's taint should be 150% larger than
Yep.
the female's taint, and that's decreasing.
Yep. Perineum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it's because of phthalates. People don't know that phthalates are
Yeah.
things found in plastics.
They're in plastics, but also a lot in fragrances, perfumes, personal products, things like that. So
Is that because they use petroleum-based stuff?
Probably. I don't remember the exact chemical derivative of where it comes from. I just know what it's in, so that I try to avoid it. But yeah. So a lot of perfumes and fragrances is what I would say is where it's most of the time. But yeah, probably
Yeah.
petroleum derived.
Yeah, because there was a study that said, and that they found out it's kind of a chunky-ish one, but they say that the average human eats the equivalent of a credit card worth of plastic
Yeah, I saw that.
a week. But that was like something like it was a huge estimation. It's like they did that on rats, and if you scale it up, that's what a human would typically eat. There was a few things that were a bit. It was
Weird.
like it was guesstimation science.
Yep.
Which it could be worse, could be better. Who knows? And
Yeah. When I
that's a
think
lot.
phthalates, I think more.
I always think platelets for some reason. That's blood. I don't know why.
I think more fragrances, perfumes, personal products. For some reason.
See, I don't take that stuff.
Yeah.
Why am I like so low on testosterone? I'm assuming all this shit, by the way.
You
I
haven't got it tested?
Nah,
Well, you should probably get it tested.
probably should.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's the thing too. So I test it differently than a lot of doctors. A lot of doctors just do blood.
You don't just measure?
I do urine testing for testosterone. No, not usually. That's an extra fee. But no, I do urine testing because blood will show you like how much is in the blood. The urine testing shows you how much the body produces, but also eliminates. Because hormones are all about how much is the body producing and then also eliminating. That's super important when it comes especially to women's health because they need to be producing estrogen, but also eliminating it.
Yeah.
Or else you get estrogen dominance and a lot of crazy stuff with that. So anyways, I do urine testing and it's 4 urine tests in a 24-hour period. So you're not only getting like the testosterone levels, you're getting the cortisol levels. So you're actually seeing your daily hormonal cycle. Or a lot of times you get it tested with blood, they just do it once and they're like, okay, this is your life. you
Yeah.
know? So that's great. It's a great starting point, but I like to do a little bit more comprehensive. So anyways, but yeah, and I don't know where I was going with that. But basically that's what I do with hormones.
Got you. So with because I mean, everything lifestyle wise, I'm using me as a test subject right now. Everything I do lifestyle wise fits the you should have a high testosterone.
Yeah.
I exercise fucking daily. I've only ever missed 1 month in my life since a baby. Probably a few months when I was born, but like I train all the time. I eat way more meat. I am just because I know again I feel better on it, which sucks for my wife because she's plant-based / vegan. And yeah, poor thing. She's like, I wanted to marry a vegan, and I'm like, I got a meat eater, like a meat eater. I'm like, I get it, but again, I tried the vegan stuff. For me, it didn't work.
Right.
And I don't believe that any diet works for everyone. There are people that thrive on vegan. There are people that, can't do it. And I know that I didn't eat a lot of meat when I was back in Australia. I had mostly chicken. Now I've cut mostly chicken out because of omega-6 fatty acids. And I noticed that having more meat, and it's not a lot of meat. It's like 6 to 8 ounces every day and a half on average. Right. But I feel a lot better. So I'm like, all right, lean into that. I'm pretty fucking healthy, I like to think. And I sleep well, which is good it's important for hormone regulation. But yeah.
Do you track your sleep at all?
I don't track it. But I do, like, I've been my own science project for well over a decade that I can tell you exactly how I feel very accurately. Like I know that I typically aim for 7 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. So 5 REM cycles. And I have like my alarm goes off typically at like 6:30, but I snooze it, and then it's usually till the sun wakes me up. Then I go out for 15 minutes in the sun while I'm learning Spanish so that I can get my circadian rhythm set. Yeah. And it's like it's time hacking where I'm still learning. Yeah. Something like productive, but I'm also then tapping into the REM cycles and stuff like that. So all of that stuff makes sense that I should be like I don't do, and I think I am. It's just the sex drive, but I think that's just because I'm focusing on so much other shit. Yeah. Well,
possibly. I mean, it's hard for me to say without like seeing like your numbers.
Yeah. What's your thing on TRT? I know.
What do you mean by TRT?
TRT, sorry.
Oh, TRT, yeah.
The accent. It wasn't anything on tit. Yeah, like I've heard I've heard don't have it before you have kids. Hang back a bit. But but it's also like it's having a very small dose. Whatever it is, like 300 to 1,000, whatever the things are. Andrew Huberman talks about it. I don't know if you know him.
Yep, I love Huberman.
He's a good guy.
I was actually going to ask you if that's why you started eating carbs at night because of Huberman. Because he talks about that.
No, it was trial and error. And again, I've been obsessed with learning a lot of micro things that I was just sort of addressing how I feel. So I was like, all right, I don't eat I need carbs for an energy output. It's the quick release energy. And I know I feel tired after it. Yeah. So why not use my food as a tool to push and propel the goals I want to achieve? And the goal is go to sleep.
Totally. Well, I think Huberman has your back on that is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so I've heard Huberman talk about it, Rogan talk about it, more plates, less dates or something like that, whatever his name is. He's a little too, he's more in the bodybuilding thing, so I'm not huge on it. I like to look at people that are not jacked and see what their opinion is on testosterone replacement therapy on a minor level, because I don't want to be jacked. I don't want to fuck up my hormones. I don't want to do all that sort of stuff. But I do know that like when they do it with dogs, for example, I think Huberman talks about it. He gave his dog TRT and he goes, the dog was happy, it was vibrant, it lived longer and all these sort of things. And he then started testing that with humans as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a strong opinion about it because one, I'm really focused on restoring the bodily systems. So TRT to me feels almost like avoiding fixing the bodily systems to get the result that you want. So part of me won't I'm always wondering, well, why is your testosterone low? Like if you feel better taking more testosterone, let's figure out why you're not normal. That's always my approach. And with any type of hormone replacement therapy, even like the people who are getting the pellets in their butts or whatever.
What's that?
So sometimes women will get they'll get like hormone pellets in the glute, injected in the glute, and basically it's like a slow release of testosterone or whatever hormone it is that they need. It's actually kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's one methodology that they're doing right now. But for example, like if a woman comes to me and she has like all these hormonal problems and all of a sudden they're fixed because she got the pellet, well, they're not fixing the estrogen dominance necessarily. They're just adding more progesterone or more testosterone to counteract the incredible overabundance of estrogen, right?
Yeah.
Estrogen dominance can still be eventually leading to breast cancer or different types of cancers. Like, so if you don't fix that, you're still going to have your hormonal problem. And so my approach to TRT, I guess, would be kind of similar. It's like, yeah, okay, well, you get cancer from too much testosterone? No, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, it's just like, okay, why is your body not functioning? And again, it's a feedback loop, right? You know, if you have too much testosterone, the body is like, well, I don't need to make it. So I guess I'm somewhat against it. I wouldn't do it myself, especially not right now.
Yeah.
To me, if someone feels a lot better doing it, I think there's more room. There's more cause for exploration as to why. So that's kind of what I would say generally.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you come up with me.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's like, you mean you can tell straight away, like I'm obsessed with figuring it all out.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
And so it's like all the stuff that I've seen, like that's the last thing that I've kind of been like, all right, maybe it's that. But I don't even know if my testosterone is low.
Right.
That's just my wife's hypothesis because I don't have a sex drive.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, completely against what everyone, like, men just want sex all the time. She's like, you've never been like that. I'm like, I wasn't like that when I was single.
I know multiple men like that. So I don't know. Again, I think it could
Women want it more than guys. Here's a side note, guys. I don't believe the bullshit that men are always horny. It's more that just men will fuck anything, women won't. But women want it more than men.
Yeah.
You know, like just women are selective, men are not. That's the difference.
Well, it's like even with like the testosterone thing, it's like, yeah, we should check your levels. And even like the test that I do, it shows like even level of how well the cells are detoxing. So it even will look at that. It'll look at the liver. It'll tell me the gut. It'll tell me the brain. Which one of these organ systems is malfunctioning that could be the potential root cause of the low testosterone. And that's why I like the test that I do a lot. It's called the Dutch test, if anyone wants to look it up. DUTCH. Not the ethnicity. It just stands for Dried Urine Total Comprehensive Hormone Test.
Love a good...
Yeah,
love
good dried urine.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, I'm going to have to hit you up for that one. The other thing, what did you mention? The muscular testing?
Oh, muscle testing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I focused a lot in school. And even before I went to school, I went to chiropractors. Okay, for a little bit of background on me. My dad is a foot and ankle surgeon. He's a podiatrist, but he only does surgery. Mm-hmm. So very much in the medical world. He is the director of a residency program that people come to. He's also chair of infectious disease control for the hospital. Oh. So that's kind of cool to talk to him about everything going on behind the scenes. And we have very much the same opinions, by the way. But anyways, all that to say, my mom was the crunchy mom before it was cool kind of thing.
Crunchy?
Sorry, crunchy is an American term to like describe someone as being like very health conscious.
Oh, that is not what it is in Australia.
Really? What is it in Australia?
A crunchy is a brunette that is as dumb as a blonde.
Yeah,
because like a crunchy. Do you guys have crunchy confectionery where it's like it's a honeycomb bar with chocolate on the outside? So it's a brunette on the outside, but a blonde on the inside. That's what a crunchy is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, here we use crunchy as in like, oh, they're very granola. Like granola is also used the same way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, they're super health conscious. It's almost annoying kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So I grew up like on whole foods, raw milk, fermented foods. Eating really healthy. And then my mom also took us to chiropractors. So, anyways, long story short, I always went to chiropractors who did something called applied kinesiology.
Oh,
and you've heard of it?
Yeah. I did kinesiology once. It's interesting.
In terms of what? Because a lot of times when people hear that, they're like, oh yeah, kinesiology. I was a kinesiology major. And I'm like, no, that's different.
No, so this girl, it was weird. Like it was like obviously there's fields of everything, sound, light, and even just magnetic fields and everything.
Yeah.
So my understanding, like this girl, it was a girl I used to date, and we linked back up a few years later, and she's like, I've been doing this, and try it. And it was like all this like stuff outside. It was interesting. It wasn't to a point where I'd pay money for it.
Yeah. I don't know what.
She was doing all this like energy stuff, and it was like, there was a few things that she did, which when she said it, I was like, that's weird that you said that. Like she goes, you tend to like evaluate everything. You put it out in front of you and you evaluate it all, but you never let it go. It just still floats there. I was like, that's fucking weird that you know that. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty accurate. But it could be also like horoscopes where it's like, something great's going to happen today.
Right. Was she testing any of your muscles or no? She was like pushing on anything?
She might have been. It was just, there was two things that I remembered the most. And it was like she'd pull up from the gut, like this, like imagine me lying down. Mm-hmm. It was, she would do this and push down, and then her hands would be above and she'd go throw it away. And now it was weird because you did feel like as she did that, I pushed down. But also I know that the psychology of it is that if I see something, like if I do this to you, I can be like, I'm pushing emotion down in you, but really I'm indicating to your brain, calm down.
Right.
But then I can trick you and be like, I have these powers to make you feel this way.
Right.
Or like lift you up. Like now I feel like it going up. So there could have been that psychology part to it as well. Yeah. But again, placebo, if it does it, who gives a shit?
Applied kinesiology is a huge like umbrella term. So it sounds like she's doing something I don't do. I don't know what it was. Good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's actually take a break. I need to use it.
You got to be?
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to go pee too. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Like it happens when you're in a podcast. You're actually the first person though that actually was just like, I need to go. Usually people I can tell in their eyes like they got this fear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to stop. I'm like,
you like have to ask them.
Yeah. I'm like,
I read your form.
Yeah.
You're like,
if you need a pee,
just let me know.
Yeah.
Time.
Especially too, like the goal with this is that I want people to feel like it's an organic conversation and you'll meet. Like by the end of this, there's no question who the person is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like it's salesy. There's not. And so that was my goal.
Cool.
Which is kind of cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Which some people are scared to be like that.
What?
Some people are scared to just be like 100% raw.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Nah, I don't have the energy to not be, honestly.
It's hard to keep up a character.
Yeah.
I've tried. But what were we talking about? Muscular stuff.
Yeah,
Crunchies.
muscle testing.
Crunchies.
Yeah. Yeah, so muscle testing, the way I explain it is basically like if you get hit in the head really hard, right? They're going to shine a light in your eye to see if you have a concussion. They're going to watch like your eye muscle respond, which reveals the health of the brain, whether it's damaged or not from a concussion, right?
Really?
Yeah, right.
Quickly run me through that because I always thought to check if someone's concussed, there's like different dilations of the eyes.
Yes. So there is a lot to go into it. This is just like my simple like layman's way of explaining it.
Yep.
I'm not familiar. I don't evaluate people for concussions. Yeah. So that's not my job. But I know that they're looking at the muscle function of the iris of the eye to reveal what type of concussion, whether it is a concussion or not, right? That's just the premise. They're looking at the eye muscle, which is not consciously controlled, right? It's to reveal whether the brain has a concussion or not.
Gotcha.
Right?
And if the torch goes up, you guys call them flashlights. We call them torches.
If there's no response.
There's no response. And it should go smaller.
Yeah. Because that means the neurological loop is intact. The brain is functioning neurologically because it's not concussed.
Yeah.
If it's concussed, there's no response. That's the very basics of it. I'm sure there's a lot more for those who are concussion evaluators. So let me know. I'll learn. But anyways, so that's the basic premise. And I always tell people that's what I'm doing to check the health of the brain, the stress, basically whether the brain is in a stressed or relaxed response. But I'm not using an eye muscle because I don't want to shine a torch in your eye like 30 times while you're visiting me.
Yeah.
I use an arm or a leg muscle. It's still the same type of neurological loop. So it's just like, okay, resist. They can resist. There's a lock. And then if they can't, if it goes weak, there's something is off with that neurological loop, right?
Oh, I've done that. That's weird. It's trippy.
Yeah, it's super weird. And people are like, oh my gosh, that's witchcraft. It's wizardry. I'm like, okay, well.
It's the devil.
Right? I'm like, well, to me, it's kind of a basic neurological test. And a lot of doctors don't understand it because they never studied it. And that's okay. I don't understand things I don't study either. But basically, that's what I use to basically determine, okay, because the premise of health is getting the body into a state of ease and relaxation, right? Growth.
Just quickly. So for people who are not aware of what we're talking about, it's, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, because I'll have like my leg up, for example. I'm lying on a table, got my leg up, and you'll press different areas, usually around the groin area, the abdominal area, you can either resist it, or if there's a weakness or something, they'll press like my abdominal area and then they'll push, and I cannot for the life of me hold it up at all.
That's like phase 2 is what I would say. Phase 1, I'm just checking to see, can they hold, just like if I push here on my own arm, can they hold that push?
Gotcha.
I'm checking the deltoid function with that test. And so then if they can't hold it, then something's wrong with the deltoid and I have to fix that first. But if they can hold it, that means that muscle is functioning. I do a little test to make sure that it's turning off and on the muscle, because that's a healthy muscle. You don't want it always on. That's spasticity or hypertonicity. And you don't want it always off, right? Anyways, once that's happened, then I know that this is properly telling me whether the brain is stressed or not by another input that I can do. That other input, again, will be like, pushing on the liver point, right? If someone comes to me and they have like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and their liver point will be tender. Like I'll push on it and it will hurt more than the other side of the rib cage. Okay. So I always make them realize that. I'm like, oh, does this hurt more than this exact same spot on the other side? And they're like, yeah, oh, okay. Could that be structural? Yeah, it could be something different. It doesn't necessarily mean liver, but it's a good indicator. Okay. And so anyways, but sometimes I'll just touch the liver. Like if the liver is already stressed out, the brain is already concerned about what's going on in the liver, because the brain knows what's going on in your body, or at least it should, right? So if I push on the liver point and then I push on the muscle and it goes weak, that indicates the brain got stressed out by me just adding a little bit more neurological input to an already stressed organ. Basically took energy or brain resources away from this muscle, went into a stressed out state.
So that's what happens.
That's what happens. So it's not like I'll say someone who I think is doing it properly, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I can be like, okay, the liver might need some work, right? Do I make my entire like patient plan off of just that? No. I always want to have multiple objective measures, but that's a really cool way to show the patient in real time, like, look, we need to work on some things. So
it's brain
here.
Overload basically is what shuts off its focus.
It's like a reflex. It's like, you tap your knee, your leg kicks, you can't control it. I push on your liver point, your reflexes, your arm goes weak, you can't control it.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I've never knew that was what was happening.
Yep. So that's what's happening with muscle testing, and you can kind of apply it to a lot of different things. So I'll check everyone's organs. I'll check all the muscles of the rotator cuff and the shoulder. If someone has chronic shoulder stuff, people were in a car accident 21 years ago. They're like, I've been to 5 chiropractors, no one's helped me. And I'm like, okay, well, just let me try, because I work on the muscles differently than a lot of people. And so then it'll clear up and it'll be cool. So it's not necessarily me. It's just like, I learned how to ask the body. I learned how to, I guess, find things in the body that not everyone chose to focus on. And we all have our different scopes, right?
Yeah.
But so that's kind of muscle testing. So I love it. It's like the basis of my practice. It really helps me kind of fix the stuff that's unfixable, because it's literally like, okay, what's stressing out the brain? If we can get the brain to a state of ease about something, it will actually then heal it better. So
yeah, and it can focus on other things too then.
Yep.
The more important.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what was the other stuff? Shit, there was a few things.
Cryotherapy was the next one. Was
one
of them.
That one. Okay, I've heard about it. So because I really want to try it.
Yeah.
And because it fascinates. I mean, obviously, I've had this. Well, not obviously, sorry, but since I was young, my goal has been I want to look 30 when I'm 50.
Right.
Like I'm 34 now. Which is kind of cool because some people think I'm 25. My editor's 17, and I freaked her out the other day because when I found out she was 17, I was like, Jesus, because I met her through a YouTube group.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need an editor. She reached out to me. I'm like, great. Thought she was 20. And then she's like, yeah. I was trying to get her to set up an LLC. like a month after we were working together.
Oh.
And she's like, yeah. When I turn 18, I will. I was like, what? Okay, how old are you? She goes, I'm 17. Like, she's in Miami. I've never met her. And I'm like,
awesome.
straight away, my brain goes, fuck. Am I allowed to message a 17-year-old? I guess it's business. It's fine. Like, what are the legalities? Like, fuck. And then, you know, I was like, no, it's all good. Like, it's the same as when you hire a 14-year-old for McDonald's.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But then the other day she was like, I said to her, we're talking about haters, because like her and I both have viral videos. I've had people tell me I don't deserve to have children. Like, it's a shame that people like you get to keep their children, and like just shit like that. Where I'm like, whatever.
People are gross.
And she's had like death threats. Like, she's 17, bro. She's had death threats because she said shit about Andrew Tate. Like, but I was saying to him, like, look, you're gonna get that till you like, I got that till I was 30. She goes, wait, you're what? How? What? She goes, you're 30? I'm like, I'm 34. She's like, holy fuck, I thought you were 25. I was like, I'll take it. Like, because 17
well on your way.
They always look at older people like they're really old. You know, when you were like in high school, like when you're 18, when you were 12, 18 looked like a man.
Right.
And then you get to 25, you're like, whatever.
Right.
So I was like, all right, if a 17-year-old thinks I'm 25, that's progress.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
But that's been my whole like goal. It's not about, but it's about doing it the right way. I've always said people need to lean into their weaknesses, quotation marks, and use them as strengths. So like, if you're lazy in aspects, make that your strength. Like, don't have junk food and shitty food at my house, because I know I'm too lazy to get in my car and go drive to get it.
Right.
So leverage that.
Yeah.
Same as like, vanity is the horrible word. There's always, but use that as my strength to be healthy. So like, I want to look young. Great.
Right.
How do I do that without doing surgeries and all that sort of shit? Because that doesn't help it.
Right.
You know, it'll reduce inflammation helps, and all those other things help. So use my vices, my weaknesses as strengths. So when I found out about cryotherapy, is that right? Cryotherapy?
Cryotherapy.
Cryo. Cryo.
I know, right?
Cryotherapy. Cryotherapy is very interesting because of that, the telomere structure and the lengthening of that. Do you also do, this is a thing coming back, do you also do, what's that, hyperbaric chamber one as well?
We don't have one at our clinic right now. I used to run a wellness clinic in California, and we had them there, so I have worked with them some. But yeah, those are awesome
because those two really interest me.
Yeah.
So with cryotherapy, what's the difference between that and like an ice bath?
Cryotherapy is colder. So
oh shit.
Yeah, they say ice bath is anywhere from like 0 to 40 degrees, depending. I mean, if it's less than,
that's Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, Fahrenheit. Yeah. Sorry, I can't convert in my brain.
Celsius is like 0 degrees Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I know that. I just can't convert.
That's all I know too. I'm fucked beyond that.
Nice. Yeah, but I mean, so because an ice bath, it's like, I don't know if they add salt to it or not. I've never done an ice bath. But basically, like, it has to be above freezing, because if it's frozen, it's just solid ice. So 40 to 50 degrees is usually where they say it is. Maybe less if they add some salt.
Yeah. And movement. I think movement allows it too.
Yeah. So, but the cryotherapy machine is negative 203 degrees Fahrenheit.
Why is that necessary? That seems very cold.
Over negative 160 is when you see the most clinical benefits. So,
really?
Yeah. So, well, it might be negative 140. Sorry. It's one of those two. Negative 140 or negative 160
is when it's colder than that.
Yep. And that's when you actually get enough shock, I guess, to the brain to stimulate the body to do all the therapeutic effects that a lot of cold therapy claims. So, yeah, that's why it's that cold.
So with the shock to the body, what are the benefits of that?
Yeah, so
People usually think shock's bad.
Yeah, so no, shock is not. So when I say shock, I guess I use that term loosely. There's also a term called hormesis. I don't know if you've heard that term, but it's basically
sounds like a Greek god.
Right. But it could be. Hormesis is basically a therapeutic stressor. So like, you want your body to be stressed, right? That's why you go to the gym. That's why you sweat, whatever. You want your body to be stressed because it makes it stronger. And so cryotherapy is that. It's stressing the body or shocking the body to induce better things, to have a therapeutic effect. So basically, some of the effects that happen is like, because it's so cold, it's almost like, I explain it this way, it's almost like restarting a computer, like turning it on and off again, or off and on again, and to the brain. And so because of that, they did a study on cryotherapy where it's actually really beneficial for sleep. Even they did it with people with insomnia, and it basically resets the autonomic nervous system, which again, parasympathetic and sympathetic autonomic nervous system. That's what I'm all about. So so it can help people with sleep. And people do. They usually, like, after their first session, they go home and they're like, oh my gosh, I slept good. Is that everybody? No, everyone's different, right? But most people, they have that kind of response.
Yeah.
So that's that. Also, there's something called, like yellow fat versus brown fat?
Yeah, so brown fat is the one that's responsible for our metabolism.
Yeah, it's the more metabolically healthy fat form of fat. So you want more of that, just because brown means it's more densely populated with mitochondria. Okay, so we're going back to the mitochondria. And so it's so cold, the cryotherapy tank, that the brain freaks out and is like, I need to make more mitochondria because I need to make more heat. I need to make more energy. And so then it actually turns some of the yellow fat into brown fat. Yellow fat is just like empty space. Like, you don't need it, right? But it turns it to brown fat, which is a healthy, more metabolically active tissue. Cinnamon also helps with that too. So, but
that makes sense, because
I think winter melon or bitter melon is another herb too that helps with that.
Because I always thought, this is before I knew about brown fat and ice baths.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was always trying to train my body, and this is like, I'm talking teenage years. I was always trying to train my body's ability to thermoregulate by going into cold all the time. Like, it's funny when you think back, you're like, fuck, I thought of that when I was 14. Like,
right.
Like, no, I need to figure out how to
so much of the stuff
it.
we like know intuitively.
Yeah.
It's really cool, or innately, I guess is even a better word, but it's so cool. And then we turn it into big machines that everybody pays for.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's just more opportunity. But yeah, thermoregulation is just like a basic element of survival. And so, anyways, cryotherapy just taps into that to have a lot of other effects. So it does the fat, and then it does it decreases inflammation. So they did another study where they looked basically at blood markers of antioxidant levels and inflammatory markers before and after the cold therapy, and it decreased the bad ones, increased the good ones, basically.
Gotcha. Is that because it's improving the amount of brown fat that is able to then process the toxins?
That has more to do with upregulating the immune cells. So that's a whole other thing. Sorry. So there's the brown fat, and then there's the resetting the nervous system, which helps with sleep, and then there is basically upregulating the immune system function. So basically, you go into a little bit of how do I explain it neurologically? I guess you go into like it upregulates immune system cells. That's what they found in the study. I guess I don't need to explain more than that. But basically, the white blood cells started functioning better. And when the white blood cells start functioning better, the immune system's functioning better, the body cleans up better. So people know the white blood cells fight germs and, whatever. But white blood cells also clean up dead tissue in the body. So maybe not everybody knows that. But so that's a good benefit of cryotherapy as well. So it basically activates them more. And so then it'll help the immune system decrease inflammation. When you're cleaning up dead tissue, it also helps with inflammation.
Gotcha.
So,
and so when people go into the cryo chamber, how long do they typically go in for?
3 minutes.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, the last minute is the coldest.
Yeah, it always is when you it's when you get close
your endurance your stamina is a little lower.
Also, mentally, you're close, and that I find most people quit at 90%.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a mental game.
Yep.
And that's still pretty long. 3 minutes is still a decent time, because I know like people doing 3 minutes in an ice bath.
Yeah.
That's fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. It feels less cold than it is, because we use. So there's a few different types of cryotherapy machines. There's some that basically plug into a wall and are kind of like a refrigerator, and you kind of go in. And it's like a closed room, not necessarily a closed room, but like they roll the window up or whatever. Yeah. Those that can't get as cold because they're more of a refrigerant system. Where our machine, we really wanted a good cold one. It uses actually liquid nitrogen. So to cool the air. So you're not sitting in liquid nitrogen. That would be really bad. But I have to clarify that. People are like, am I going to be in like a liquid nitrogen bath? I'm like, no,
that's probably not good.
I'm not trying to kill you.
I need recurring business.
Right. So, but the liquid nitrogen cools the air, but because it cools the air with liquid nitrogen, it actually really dries it out. So it's because it's so dried out, it doesn't feel as cold because there's no humidity.
Yeah,
so it's much more tolerable than it sounds.
Interesting.
I think it's probably more I haven't done an ice bath, but I think it's probably more tolerable than an ice bath, honestly, even though it's actually colder.
I wonder if that's because it's not, it's like it's touching your skin, but it's not. Because I also know like with ice baths, if it's stagnant water, your body creates like a warm layer around you.
That makes sense.
That I've seen there's new ones now. Like if you really want to fuck someone up, if they get in their groove and like they look like they're good, you just move the water and all of a sudden it's like the temperature drops again. Yeah. So you can have the same temperature of water. Cool. But if it's moving, it's like you actually feel it's 10 times worse.
Yeah.
But that would make sense. Is in the chamber, is it moving air or is it?
It's moving air. Yeah.
That could be tough because I hate the wind.
It's not like drastically moving. It's just, I would say, circulating. It's not like a fan's on you, but it's circulating.
Yeah. And 3 minutes at what, minus 200 you said?
203.
203. Why the extra 3?
Because it's actually negative 160 Celsius.
See, everything works around the Celsius, bro. Whenever I see these cans and it's like, it has 16.9 fluid ounces and in brackets 500 mils.
Right.
Like, nice round number.
Right. I agree with you. I wish we used the metric system here.
I feel like most Americans feel that way.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's like learning a new language. It's like, I guess I wish I spoke, I don't know.
But it's funny because it's like, it's such an easy language. Like, even the name of...
That's what every native speaker says about their language.
Okay, put it this way. Even the name of the measurements tell you what they are. So, like, you've got liter. That's the central thing for liquid. Then you've got a milliliter.
Right.
It's a millionth... a
thousandth of a liter.
Yeah. And then you just go from there.
I know how it works.
It's like the name even tells you. Like,
I agree.
Like, fuck, I don't know.
I agree.
And it's also like, it's funny when people are
like, what's an ounce? I don't know what an ounce is.
No one knows what an ounce is. That's the thing. You can ask people in a metric system, you go, how many what is it? How many kilos in a ton? You go, it's 1,000. Yeah, it's easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because that's just what it is. I don't know why they didn't say just, it'd be like what? Kilo? But
right.
I guess that's why they didn't call it that. Now I'm saying it out loud.
Redundant.
Yeah, but like kilogram, it's like, sorry, everything's done by grams. So it's a kilogram. So you got 1,000 grams.
Right.
And then you got a microgram, blah, 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 blah. Same as centimeters and everything. But kilometer, you can ask anyone and they can explain it like that.
Right.
I'm yet to find an American that I'm like, all right, how many yards in a mile? It's fuck, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know how many yards in a mile.
Like no one knows it. I'm like, you guys grew up with this. Imagine me growing up being like,
it's also random. It's like 5,200 and something feet in a mile.
There's no system to it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then, I mean, the English are weird because they use the metric system for some things and they're like, oh, that guy weighs 3 stone. I'm like, how much is a stone, bro?
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And what stone are you basing that off?
Yeah.
Like a little one, a pebble? Like, he's 3 stones, 7 pebbles. Like, it's the dumbest system. It's worse than this one. But, yeah, so minus 203 Fahrenheit. Yeah. I got to try that out too.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. I want to see, I'm guessing do they wear gloves because the extremities can get real problematic?
So I have where people wear thick socks. Our machine, the head actually sticks out the top, which is nice because...
that was my next question. What's the reason for that?
One, you don't need to breathe in the nitrogen gas. And then...
That's good.
2, claustrophobic. So ours is kind of like a tube, a large metal tube. Yep. So everything's covered. So that's the thing too. People don't have to wear any clothes, so they get really full skin exposure, or they can wear their underwear.
So that's
why
penises were.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so the head sticks out the top, everything's covered, but that way they can still breathe. It's not super claustrophobic because sometimes people don't like going in the closed chamber ones where like the door closes and stuff. And a lot of times you still have to wear clothes in those ones too because it's a glass door. I mean, you don't have to, but people do.
You're not gonna be able to brag when you walk out,
right? So,
so you go naked into the shell thing?
Most people will still wear their underwear, but some people go naked, and it's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That'd be painful.
It's not.
no different.
It's not.
It's
I
like
can
you-
speak from
you've done it,
experience.
yeah.
It's not. It's not painful. You're fine.
I feel weird just walking around naked in the shower. Okay, so
I mean, I have people. Yeah, people will go in front of the red light while naked too. Always.
why?
Okay? So
I mean, it makes sense, but
well, red light on the going back to testosterone and all the interconnection and all this. Red light therapy on testicles increases testosterone production.
interesting.
They've shown that in studies too.
Is that actually? Do you know what? That makes sense. Because I know
Have you seen like the
very
trend?
rare time I've been
Yeah.
naked outside in the sun.
Mhm.
You do feel very alive.
Right.
It's just illegal.
Right. In most places, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you've seen.
sense.
I don't know if you've seen the trend on social media. It's not really a trend. Maybe it is. The people I follow, it's a trend.
Who do you follow? I don't even know
A
where
lot
you're
of
going
just
yet.
like natural health
Oh, yeah.
people. Okay. A lot of them are talking about like getting sun exposures on their genitals. And I don't know if you've seen people talk about this, but I even have a couple of friends who they're doing it.
My
And,
wife has done that on her hoo-ha. And
Yeah.
She's like, it feels fantastic.
Yeah.
I just imagine like, remember those old school sun things that you had like the mirror on their face?
I don't know what you mean.
know, like back in the day-
like the decorations.
No, the ladies would have like as to tan their face, they would have those little mirror things that they'd hold like that.
Oh yeah, I don't know those.
Really?
Really?
It looked like a dog thing, but it was like half, and
Yeah.
it would reflect the sun back under them, so they get double the sun.
Yeah.
I just imagine a dude just like that on his lower thing, like having a mirror pointing at his crotch.
Yeah. Hey.
Get the undergarments.
Right. But
Alright,
but anyways,
okay,
yeah. So
yeah.
that's
Naked
so
in the sun. Gotcha.
So that's why they talk about it. But again, sun emits infrared rays. That's
Mm.
why red light therapy people will do that too. Anyways,
Yeah.
all that to say, yeah, you can do cryotherapy naked if you want.
Interesting. Is there a benefit testicular wise for that, or is it
I don't
just,
necessarily know
they
one for
haven't
that.
tested?
Yeah.
Okay. Because now I got so many questions rolling. I'm not at that point yet where I will just walk in there naked.
Hey, that's okay.
You know?
Baby steps.
baby steps, baby do. But all right, so we got that. What's your opinion on infrared saunas versus traditional saunas?
I love infrared saunas.
How come?
Basically, I think you get, again, the effects of the red light therapy, okay, or the infrared light therapy, which, again, okay, so saunas, in my opinion, are one of the best ways to help the body detox,
True.
okay?
Yeah.
Right, easy, because it's the lymphatics. They even showed that they did this study where they looked at the sweat, I think, of people out in saunas and all the heavy metals that came out of the body just from being in the sauna and through sweat. So it's like people are like, oh, I need to do a heavy metal detox. Let me take this stuff. It's like, actually, you probably just need to sweat more, like a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you should also probably take stuff too, you know. Everything's
Yeah.
always a multi-therapeutic approach, right? But
Because I do about 20 minutes in 170 is the goal usually.
yeah.
Ideally 3 times a week.
Yep,
but
3 times a week. It's kind of brutal.
I'm gonna. I think I just need to buy one because I need to buy time.
Yeah.
The gym is too far away.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're awesome. But basically, so you're sweating, you're stimulating the lymphatic system. But if you pair that with infrared, which is literally addressing the mitochondria, okay, like targeting the mitochondria, stimulating the mitochondria to help the cells individually detox, you're not only stimulating your body through its tissue systems like lymphatics, sweat glands, everything to dump stuff out. You're also, the cells are dumping stuff out into those, then dumping it out into the sauna. Without infrared, you don't get as much of this.
Gotcha.
Makes sense? So I really like the blend of those two because you're stimulating detoxification and health on a cellular and a systemic tissue level. So you're just kind of turning the whole table.
Is there any are there any long-term studies yet? Because the hesitation I have with infrared versus traditional heat is similar to what happened with tanning beds, where it was like, UV comes from the sun, it's healthy for us. Then we found out that excess amount of UVA and UVB radiation was causing skin cancer and propelling the potential for skin cancer. That my hesitation is, it's same as Bluetooth. I'm I don't touch Bluetooth headphones because of I've done HemiSync. People have heard me talk about this before, but I've done HemiSync where I regulate my brain waves to get in that half in sleep state. And I've had some fucking epiphanies with life where I can't explain them. Like I literally got one tattooed on my brain, on my arm because this thing just appeared. It was a bluish light, and I was like, I got the saying of, no, I know what I can, can't, and won't do. And that's like something I hold in my life now, where it helps me make decisions on everything like very quick.
Cool.
And I was like, thanks, Jasper. Like, who the fuck's Jasper? And why am I thinking this thing? So when I was like, oh, if I can regulate my brain like that, what's happening if I've got high frequency Bluetooth going through my head?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, again, long term. It's very exciting now, but long term, what's that? That's what my hesitation, probably from a lack of knowledge. Also, maybe it's a lack of long term testing at the moment for me, which is the influx of infrared. Do we know what the bell curve is of that? Like, when does it become too much? Because even too much sun, you burn. You can get skin cancer. Is there any studies that sort of have shown where that bell curve lies? And is there an understanding for that?
There's a lot I could speak to with what you said, because, well, one, I don't know a study like that. I haven't read one. And I also am one of the people who, I think, yes, too much sun exposure can be damaging, but I think I wouldn't necessarily say that
because obviously like 15 minutes of sun a day is fantastic for you. Just like, don't drink a 17 gallons of water, you'll drown,
Right.
So I'm wondering what if there's something that has that great middle
in terms
point.
of infrared. Well, I know that infrared is used to help balance out the damage from the UV rays.
Okay.
So, and there has been studies on that, and basically it can help with like sunspots, things like that. Like if you're looking at like aesthetics. Yeah. And so to me, it's more of because there's full spectrum of sunlight, right? There's the UV rays that are damaging to the skin, that people say are damaging to the skin. And then there are other rays that fill out the rest of the spectrum, and infrared is one of those. So I guess, I don't know. I don't necessarily think UV rays are damaging to the skin, which I know sounds really controversial. I think that sunburn is actually a indication of the level of nutritional deficiency that you're at. Because
I burn like a bitch.
Yeah, so I don't. I used to. And by working on my diet and my lifestyle, I have been in the sun a lot, and I don't burn anymore. So I think some of that is like mindful sun exposure, right? Like if you feel your skin start to hurt, get out of the sun, right? But also, like, for example, so sunburn to me has to do with not able to handle vitamin D production. There's too much inflammation in the skin, right? Because radiation from the sun is a form of inflammation. If your body's not inflamed, your body should be able to handle sun inflammation. Right, but if there's cellular inflammation, or if there's not enough calcium, or something called linoleic fatty acid, all of those are involved in pulling the vitamin D into the bloodstream and calming basically the effects of the sun radiation down. If you don't have enough of those, you're going to burn really easy. If you have enough of those, in my experience, I don't burn. So, and then I tested it one time. I went to this clothing optional hot springs place in California in the desert. Okay. And I was like, okay, this is the day where I'm going to take extra calcium and linoleic acid. And I was in the sun 8 hours. I'm not a nudist. I don't do this regularly. This is the one and only time I've ever done this.
Getting that testosterone.
Right. I didn't burn at all. The whole day in the desert of California, no sunscreen, nothing. And I just took those things. So to me, it's like, I guess time.
Is that the placement though?
Huh?
Is that the placement though? Because I know, like, California, same thing. I do it here too. I don't burn at all.
Right.
Europe was the same thing. Yeah. I was in the sun hours. Yeah. I was red like a beetroot that night. Yeah. And then it was gone the next day and it was brown. Yeah. Australia?
How about here? Do you burn here?
Not really.
Okay,
maybe
good.
like a little bit of pinkiness, but not much. But like Australia, dude, there's we can spot people that are travelers from a mile away, because it's so different sun-wise. And then I had one friend, her and her husband went to, maybe it was Tijuana or something, very close to the equator. They were in the sun for 45 minutes and got 3rd-degree burns.
Wow.
Because the sun there is and that's the reason why the natives there are so black.
Right.
Because they have such an influx of rays, the UV rays, so they say, that those guys need a shitload of melanin.
Yeah.
That they are, very black because they need to fight such strong sunlight.
Totally.
And the fact they got 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah.
In half an hour to 45 minutes is fucking insane.
Totally. Obviously, there's balance to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's like I used to burn and now I don't.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like when I fine-tuned my nutrition, I could handle my environment a lot better. And so I think, I'm not saying that like the sun isn't ever dangerous, but I'm saying that I think a lot of times people lather on sunscreen or and think they're protecting themselves when really they still have the cellular dysfunction and the lack of vitamin D, the lack of calcium, the lack of linoleic acid that could really help them be more resilient in the environment in which they're should be able to safely live.
Not to mention the problems they're finding out about sunscreen now anyway.
Right. Yeah. So
we really can't win, can we?
Oxybenzone, man, it's crazy. So Hirschsprung's disease. We're
crazy. Fucked either way, basically.
Yeah. So anyways, so in terms of infrared, like kind of going back to that, in terms of whether it's damaging to skin or not, I don't think so. But I'm also one of the people who maybe thinks a little bit more dangerously about the sun, because I don't think it's as, I think it can be damaging, but I think so much of the skin damage people are getting from the sun is actually like, could some of the cases really be from sun damage? Totally. But I think a lot of them are actually just nutritional deficiency where the body is like running on fumes. Of course, a little bit of extra radiation that should normally be able to be tolerated isn't. So yeah.
It'd be a lot of a little. Like I mentioned, I get my 15 minutes outside, and then I try and do at least 15 minutes on like 3 to 4 hour intervals through the day.
Yeah. Cool.
And then that way it is like, and again, like I'm walking outside basically in shorts, like what I'm wearing now. So I'm still getting not just the receptors in the bottom of my eyes to keep the circadian rhythms on flow, but also again, I'm getting this micro dose of sun that is fueling the mitochondria, like you said, through the skin.
Yeah.
Mine's more just like to feel like I know I feel good, but now I know why.
Cool. I love it.
Whereas, if I'm out in the sun for like 45 to an hour, I'm like, I feel that feeling you said, I can feel myself start to burn. Whereas my wife's like, you're such a bitch. Then I get undercover and then, she's red. And I'm like, suck it.
Right. I'm in tune. What are you going to say?
Yeah, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
But it's funny, like I feel like I feel that burn faster than people.
Right.
It could just be awareness or it could be I'm a wuss. I don't know. I'm still figuring out.
I don't know how to answer that either because I feel the same way. I feel when my skin is burning and it's like my skin is screaming at me. Almost. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't know if that is like, I'm more in tune with my body than others or what. But the thing is too, is I think sunburn numbs that response of the skin. Sunscreen, I think.
Oh, sunscreen does.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sunscreen, for some reason, I don't know the mechanisms of it, but it makes me, because you can still get burnt, after like not applying sunscreen or whatever, but I don't know if I feel it happening as much when I've worn it. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling, but it just makes me wonder if there's something that's shut off in the feedback loop with the application of sunscreen.
That's an interesting concept.
Because they've shown increased sunscreen usage does not decrease melanoma rates.
Really?
Yeah, they did a study on that. And so it's like using more sunscreen doesn't cause less skin cancer. So what is it doing? Just preventing a burn, but there's still the radiation and the cellular dysfunction that happens, just less pain. Like, is that what it is? So to me, it's just like, I would rather not numb my body's natural feedback loops and learn how to live in the sun healthily than use something that actually doesn't decrease cancer rates anyways. Yeah. So, and isn't toxic.
There's definitely like, those people that you see that are at the beach, you can tell they're like beach goers because they have that like leathery skin.
Yeah.
Like there's also that to consider. Like,
right.
But then if you avoid sun completely, you have that porcelain skin.
Right.
There's that mixture.
I was just in Seattle. I saw a lot of the porcelain skin. That was actually, I hadn't realized how crazy it was. And I was like, oh, wow, hey guys. But anyways, they're pale up there.
Yeah, they are definitely pale. You should meet my wife. She just judges me all the time. She's
Why?
Like, Blake, you need a tan. As soon as a shirt comes, I'm like, I'm not tanned, but I'm not fucking pasty. And then, then she'll like have me next to my friend Josiah, who's like half black. And I'm like, come on, man.
Right. That's not fair.
Yeah. He's got DNA. That's bullshit. But yeah, okay. So no sun, like minimize sunscreen use, if not avoid it. Zinc, I never understood zinc. That was always a weird one.
In terms of zinc application?
No, you just know when people put zinc on their face? I'm like, like one strip, like that's going to save you?
I don't know the strip. I've seen zinc-based sunscreens. I don't know.
What's it? Is there...
basically, like, if you've seen the sunscreen that kind of looks like pasty white for like a long time,
Yeah.
the mineral-based sunscreens, basically, they use micro particles of minerals to like deflect the rays.
Gotcha.
It's like putting on, I don't know, yeah, just little like reflective mirrors all over your body, basically, but like microscopic. But there isn't a lot of research on that either, and people think it's healthier, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's all this stuff. There's so many questions.
Right? I know.
But I just want to try out the cryo.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
The shit. What was the other one? The hormone one interests me.
The Dutch
to circle
test.
back on that one. Yeah. I want to try being Dutch, and because it will be interesting to see the testosterone levels.
Yeah.
Because I know that I haven't got a lot. But it's kind of like it's weird. It's like it's different with like who I'm around too. Like if I'm around high performers, it's like my testosterone just goes because all of a sudden it's like I'm ready to fucking like not fight as in physically, but it's like my brain is like, let's go, no excuses, shut up, don't talk to me, let's go, which is very testosterone based. But if I'm not around that, it's like I kind of flow. Like I'm gender fluid, I guess. Like ebbing and flowing for the people.
You mean you're like a dynamic human being?
Yeah,
like,
trying to do
okay,
that.
cool. There you go.
But no, we got to wrap it up because I got a meeting at 10:30. Shucks.
Yeah, no worries.
First, that was awesome. I think we could talk for a lot more. I got so many more questions.
Great chatting with you. Yeah.
Likewise. And for people who are listening, where can they reach you? And what's the best?
Yeah, so you can reach me. Basically, I have an Instagram, Dr. Jarod Ward, DrJarodWard. And then also our practice website is caliberwellness.com, CALIBER wellness.com. Those are probably the best ways to reach us right now. I probably won't. You can find the phone number and everything on there if you need it.
They'll be in the description too on the Spotify and YouTube. So if you missed it, you can look there.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Lots of interesting people to listen into. And yeah, I'll be back on Monday. Thanks for coming, bro.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Subscribe, guys. Bye. Bye. There we go. That was fun.
Cool. That was fun.